So guys, it's me, it's Keto Man 64, and like a moth to the Freddy Faz Flame, I'm here to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's again. And this is gonna be kind of a different type of video. I'm gonna be talking about my biggest problems with Fnaf Theorizing. Now, don't take this video as me basically saying no one else should be able to theorize except for me. Don't take it like that's more like just me just saying a couple of problems that I have. And so yeah. Remember to sit back, relax, and hit that like and subscribe button and enjoy a Freddy Faz bar. We're going to be talking about the biggest problems with Fnaf Theorizing. One of my biggest problems with theorizing is just the fact that sometimes it feels like you're talking to a brick wall because some people in the theorizing community are ignorant. Nothing you say will ever get through to them, and it is just insane. And it feels like people sometimes will take their headcanons so seriously that they will just deny actual evidence and facts from the games because it doesn't align with their headcanons. And I'm not saying headcanons are bad. I'm just saying taking those cruds too seriously to the point of where it hinders your ability to theorize is kind of bad. Like really bad, especially for this franchise. And I think the point that shows this is Secret of the Mimic. A lot of people got mad at Secret of the Mimic because it ruined their headcanons, and that's kind of a problem because a lot of people believe the fanon more than the actual canon of the games, and that's just actual problem. And another problem is the fact that if you try to go to older theories, people will get mad and basically not want to hear anything new about it, which I can kind of understand. They've been there for so long, but there needs to be a point in time where you're we need to look back at all of this old stuff and try to rethink it. But there is an example of going too far, which I'm going to go over in a little bit. But I also want to say something that I did mention in some of my videos a while ago, that the phone calls from FNAF 2 were pre-recorded. A lot of people just got mad at that for some odd reason. I don't know why. Most of the other phone calls in all the other games are pre-recorded, so I feel like there's nothing wrong with thinking FNAF 2's phone calls are pre-recorded. It's also the fact that a lot of people nowadays keep making I solved FNAF 2 videos. There's no problems with that, but I thought FNAF 2 was solved in 2015. But I guess I was wrong. And I don't know. I just feel like there are too many videos. It's to the point of where it's kind of just tiring. They all come down to the same thing. Either the exact things we've been saying for 10 years, or the DCI never existed, which is just a dead children incident, which I don't know why people deny the existence. Yeah, it was just never brought up ever again after that, but I think it happened, but it just isn't that important. I think there's a lot of stuff that happens in these games that are just not that important. And then there's the thing that I said, people going too far with taking old information and looking at it as a new light is Charlie 87. I get why people believe Charlie 87. But I don't think Charlie 87 actually is the truth. Mostly because there's mountains of evidence that just goes against it from years. And also, I don't know, I think the FNAF 2 phone calls kind of being about Charlie's death was not actually the point of them. I don't think that was ever the point. Yeah. I just wanted to elaborate on why I think the FNAF 2 phone calls do not point to Charlie dying in this game. Mostly because there's the night 6 phone call of the game where the phone guy says,
Hello. What on earth are you doing there? Didn't you get the memo? The place is closed down, at least for a while. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right.
A lot of people kind of just ignore that, and also, I'm quite sure that just points to the DCI actually happening. I'm pretty sure it just does, because that's the only logical explanation, and that's what kind of disproves the whole, the phone calls point to Charlie dying in 87, because that just doesn't really make sense, and you kind of have to ignore that for that to work. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. And also, a lot of people try to use the gravestone order from Help Wanted 2 as the basically list for how the kids died, which I'm sorry, I don't believe that, because in Happiest Day, when all the masks are falling down, the puppet's mask falls down last. So that's why the puppet is the last in the gravestone order. It's the order of when they passed on instead of the order of when they died. Because I don't think the order of their deaths kind of matter. I just think we're supposed to know they died and that's it. So like, yeah. And also some evidence I don't ever hear people talking about against Charlie 87 is this. Fnaf 2 doesn't have any fudging windows. I've built this place in Minecraft a lot of times, and I even seen the Help Wanted 1 map. There's no fudging windows in that building. And we also gotta forget the fact that the building in the minigame is mirrored from Fnaf 2. So I'm pretty sure it happened in an earlier location. And that's just like some evidence that I feel like nobody goes over when talking about Charlie 87. So there's one last thing I need to mention is that the theory Charlie 87 was first popularized when someone made a video called What FNAF Fans Have Gotten Wrong for 10 Years. And I'm not gonna mention the person who made this because I don't want anyone attacking them over the Scary Bear game. But there's just one thing I wanna talk about in that video that kind of just been sitting on my mind for a little bit. So the person started to talk about the Scott Cawthon post where he mentioned that game theory almost got everything right. And what the guy has to say about it is that if you think Scott is saying that MatPat got the fact that Charlie died first is correct, then you should also believe that the phone guy is the killer and William Afton killed the kids in the Golden Freddy suit. And it is not productive to pick and choose what you think Scott confirmed. Which is an okay point, but then you think about it for 5 seconds, and isn't that kind of the point of theorizing, that you're picking and choosing what you think Scott Cawthon said is right, and that's what your theory is? So it's unproductive to theorize, if I'm going by your logic. What kind of rules for thee but not for me garbage is this? Why doesn't it apply to you, but it applies to everyone else? That's not how that works. That's just being a hypocrite. And also, you missed the point of what he said. Almost everything is right. That could go both ways. That could mean that the other person is wrong and you're also wrong because almost everything was right. It doesn't confirm anything while confirming stuff. You missed the point of what he was saying. So you can kind of just pick and choose because you don't know what he means. And also, I feel like we really shouldn't be using that post as a gotcha moment because, like, we don't know what he means by we almost got everything right. That could literally mean anything. So, like, yeah, that's kind of just how I feel about this. And if you do end up finding the person, please do not attack them. This is just me pointing out something, and that's just it. And now there is the next problem I have. The mental gymnastics that people will go through just to hold on to a theory. I think it is incredible because it's just insane. Like, it is just fudging insane. And one of the theories that kind of is just like the antithesis of this is the crying child is the fifth victim theory. And my problem with it is that it just doesn't make really any sense. The whole thing is William Afton kidnaps his kid and kills him, and that's why the crying child is the fifth victim and is Golden Freddy, which no, not at all, because in the same game, FNAF 4, you straight up hear a flatline every time you die, and then in the Night 6 cutscene, you fudging hear a flatline. So like, I'm pretty sure he just died in the hospital, and I don't think you're looking at it this way, but I don't think William Afton actually cares about his kids. And one of the things that that theory hinges off of is William Afton bringing his kid back home, because apparently if you have a coma, you can just be at home, but I don't think William Afton cares enough about that. Because if we're gonna use the books and the movies, William Afton is a terrible father, and he's an abusive one too. I don't think he cares about his kids beyond the fact that they would continue his legacy because they're his kids. And so like, that's just the problem I have. And yeah, I just think the fifth victim being the crying child is kind of a stupid theory that makes zero sense. Because he fudging died in a hospital and the game says that. That also goes into my thing about people ignoring evidence, because you will just ignore the fact that you hear a flatline at the end of that. He just died in a hospital. And that also goes into the overanalyzation of things. People overanalyze everything. And also another problem I have is the fact that people have this weird hatred towards the Ballora is Mrs. Afton theory. I will never get to mention this ever, so I'm just gonna mention it here. People have a weird weird hatred for that theory, and I don't get it. It's just a funny theory, and people hate it, and I don't get it. And so now, it's time for the next problem that I have. So now it's time to talk about the theory that actually made me want to make this video. And that theory is the gourd victim theory, which this theory hinges on the whole fact of something called the 0-point field existing in Five Nights at Freddy's. And from my understanding of the 0-point field, it is basically the 0-0 coordinates of the universe. And if you get in touch with it, you can manipulate reality. And the theory is basically that after the crying child died in Fnaf 4, he became in touch with the 0-point field, and he can now manipulate reality at a molecular scale. Why does Toy Chica take off her beak in Five Nights at Freddy's 2? Because that's what the crying child seen in Fnaf 4. Why does the animatronic stuff people in suit? Because he saw his father helping someone get into a spring-lock suit, and so he interpreted it as someone being stuffed inside of a suit. And so that's why the animatronics do it. Why did the bite of 87 happen? Because he got his frontal lobe bitten off, and that's why he died. The crying child is now basically a gourd, which I'm sorry, I don't believe that theory, mainly because it's so stupid. Like, it is that funny kind of stupid, and also that stupid where it's like, I can't believe this is true. I don't know why people are unironically believing this now, because it's just so stupid. And I'm sorry, I have a hot take. I don't think the crying child matters all too much. The most I think he does is that he's Golden Freddy, and that he was the victim of the big bite. That is it. I also just think he's character motivation for Michael, but that's literally, I don't think he's manipulating reality at a molecular scale. I don't think that's happening. And yeah, the 0-point field exists in the Fazbear Frights books, but I don't think it exists in the games. And I kind of don't want that to exist. Mainly because it's so fudging stupid. It's like actually kind of stupid. Like, yeah, there are the AR masks that can manipulate reality, but like, let's be real, the technology in FNAF is very unrealistic. And also, the thing about the animatronics stuffing people in suits, that could be because they're using the Mimic schematics, and in Secret of the Mimic, he was stuffing people in suits. And that's it. And so, like, yeah, I don't think there's anything like really like huge going on. I'm sorry, I don't believe in the 0-point field, mainly because it's just kind of stupid. And like, yeah, that's pretty much a lot of my problems I have with theorizing for FNAF. So now that we've reached the end of the video, I just want to say, please don't take this video in the way of me saying I hate FNAF theories and people shouldn't make them, because no. I think people should be able to make theories, and also, I like making theories too. I've just been feeling kind of burnt out, mostly because I feel like a lot of FNAF theory videos and just theories in general kind of are the same, at least to me. They all kind of just cover the same couple of topics, being Golden Freddy, I solved FNAF, and just one detail that changes the entire franchise or your look on it, and that's kind of just it. These are just my personal problems at the end of the day, and no one else has to share the same feelings. And also, I'm not above any of this trash. I've made some stupid theories in the past. So yeah, this video is made out of passion, I guess. And also, I just want to mention one last issue that I have, just one problem that I have, the very last problem with theorizing, is that there's just an argument that people use now that I just don't really like. It's when people say the human brain is wired to hold on to beliefs, and you're more likely to choose the easy way, which is fighting tooth and nail about your beliefs, than choosing the harder path and having an open mind. And I'm sorry, at least to me, that kind of just sounds like you're saying I'm more righter than you and I have better thinking than your primitive mindset. And also it just comes off as kind of pretentious, but that's just me, and that's kind of how I feel about the argument. I remember the old days of FNAF theorizing when it was just, you either believe it or you don't, and that's kind of just it. And there was no psychology in this, so yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys like this video. If you want to see more like this, put it in the comments below. And if you have any problems with theories that I mentioned in this video, or just with the video in general, please put it down there, because I really want to know. I'm open for discussion. So yeah, thanks for the support like always. This was your host, TaquitoMan64. See you all in the next one. Goodbye.